Hey there, welcome back to this final lesson here in Module 3 of the Badass Business Planning course. Here's where we're going to, in this lesson, we're going to kind of put together the work you've done so far, because here is where you're going to define your core differentiator. And your core differentiator, sometimes you're going to do it on a product by product basis, and so you'll think about that when you get to products. But at this point, what I want you doing is kind of thinking about what is your unique value proposition for your audience. And so normally your core differentiators are going to be things that will they're going to apply to all of your segments, because the way you approach things overall will be different. So these tend not to be things that are very product specific, but are about your overall approach, your overall views, the overall things that make your brand different, not just individual products different. So with that, let's kind of talk about how you're going to define these things. Now, some of this work is essentially done by kind of taking the work you did in your uniqueness and comparing it to what you learned from doing the market research in the niching and identifying segments and problems and primary needs and solutions and those things, and kind of looking at those things and seeing, how am I fundamentally going to be different from the other people in my space? So some of this is personality driven, like your cowbell and core values will come about, but a lot of it has to do with how you approach things. And so generally speaking, you can find core differentiators in two kind of big areas. So one is in thinking through your approach to solving their problem. And what I mean by that is, this is not about how you deliver, but it's about your overall kind of, the way you help them. And what I mean by that, let me kind of put a little bit of contours around that. I'm not here to teach you direct response online marketing the standard way. One of my core differentiators is that what I teach you is based on foundational, fundamental marketing principles from areas outside of the online space and blends brand equity, connection, kind of the indirect marketing with the direct response marketing. So I'm teaching you an overall approach. So that's one of my core differentiators. Another core differentiator that I have is that I'm teaching you how to build a business. I'm not teaching you how to build a product. And that distinction might be missed on you, but my point is, if someone's teaching you how to build a course, they're not teaching you how to build a business, because a course is a product. And I'm teaching you an overall approach to say, how do I think about building a business that will thrive and survive? And so that's another one of my core differentiators. A third core differentiator that I have versus many of my competitors is that most of my competitors are super niched. And what I mean by that is, they're niched on who they serve, but also what the solutions they'll teach them. And as an example, they'll, for example, say, I'm going to teach you how to create and launch an online course. So it's that one solution of a course or a membership or a group coaching program or a high ticket program or a low price program. So they're going to teach you this one very particular solution. Whereas one of my differentiators is, I am not going to teach you to choose any one solution. I'm going to teach you how to evaluate and create an overall strategy that is probably going to include multiple of those solutions. And part of this means sometimes, maybe for you, a course is not the right solution. So I'm not going to teach you that. And again, I'm going to say that you get the distinction here. So those are some of the ways that you could look at core differentiators. It's like what you fundamentally teach and how you're going to teach them, the process, those kinds of things can be a differentiator. So that's part of it. Now, what I want you to get is, when you're doing those kind of differentiators, generally you may have different differentiators to compare you to different solutions, right? Because some people might, you might have competitors on both sides of you. So, some of them are just very expensive and very high touch, but you're differentiated from them is, look, I'm not going to be a high touch or a high price because I know that's not what you need. And other people, for example, are going to be like, hey, I'm just going to give you information, but they're not going to give you implementation. You say, unlike those people, I know you need implementation help. So it's about differentiating from all the different competitors that are out there. So that's part of it. Now, the next level is thinking through the means of delivery. And what I mean by that is, for example, the fact that I do not charge for information. I don't sell information. That is a core differentiator that doesn't relate to like the specific stuff I teach, but it has to do with my view. And by the way, it stems out of my core value of making this accessible, that I don't think you should have to pay me to learn what I have, the information I have when it comes to marketing and business building. So that's why BOMU is free. So if you think about it, BOMU being free, all of my information being free is a huge differentiator between me and my competitors, who largely only want to give most of this information away inside of paid programs. So that's a differentiator for me, that I create immense value that we give away in terms of information. You might find something that you're doing that's similar. So again, in my case, the fact that I don't charge for information, I only charge for implementation help, is a differentiator. So those are some of the ways that you can do it. But ultimately what you're doing here is figuring out, how do you kind of take your uniqueness, the things that you're really good at, the things you believe in, and all those things, and your expertise, and how do you then find a gap and make yourself carve out something where you are different fundamentally across your business from the other competitors. That's what you're doing here. You're defining what makes your business unique. And now again, to be clear, we're not talking about individual products. So I don't have a core differentiator for BOMU. I have core differentiators for my brand. Then when we get to the solution, you'll talk about that. And when it comes to selling it, you will have that in your value proposition. But here, you're looking at a more kind of a bigger picture. Overall, what makes my brand distinct and what differentiates it from other brands in the space. So the work here now, you're going to want to do this work and come up with your best guess. And if you struggle with this, you need to work, because ultimately, if your business is just like everybody else's or just like most of the other people in your space, you're going to have a tough time standing out. So you either need to find that you stand for something different about how your audience should solve their problem, or you need to, deliver it in a different way or something like that will set your business apart. So that's the work here. Once you've done this work, once you've figured out this, and now you've completed your uniqueness and your niche, now in Module 4, we will get to your solution of defining your business. That's where you're really going to start planning things. So I will see you over in Module 4, where we'll get into the nuts and bolts of creating your very distinct plan. So I'll see you there.